Tick, tock, tick, tock. 60 seconds. A mere minute of my life are forever ingrained into my memory. But see, this minute is not made up of a consecutive 60 seconds. It is composed of moments over time, about a 4-month span, in which I felt that the odds were against me. See, I felt that my dreams were impossible due to the challenges placed before me throughout this 4-month span. But I realized that no matter the odds, I can still achieve. My minute begins freshman year basketball game. In the first 3 seconds, I stole the ball and dribbled down the court. In the 4th second, I proceeded to shoot a layup, something I had practically perfected since I was playing since I was in 4th grade. However, on the 5th second, a loud pop resounded throughout the gym as I collapsed onto the floor. The next 5 seconds, chaos was around me. My mother rushed out onto the floor. My coach immediately began to cut the shoe off my right ankle, and the other coach was calling the ambulance. My dad eventually arrived, and he called trauma hospitals, trying to find which one was best for the injury I had. I was then transferred from the gym floor to a stretcher, from the stretcher to the ambulance, and from the ambulance to a helicopter. See, I had severely fractured my ankle to the point where I needed to be rushed to a trauma hospital, but I lived 2 hours from one, so they had to airlift me out of my small town. While in the helicopter, I woke up for about 5 seconds, and I heard the paramedics discussing my injury, and they said, amongst themselves obviously, she's not going to keep her foot. The odds of her walking again with her actual foot are slim to none. I went to sleep. I eventually awoke in the trauma room, and I was there for about 8 hours. Then I was transferred to a room for about 3 days, and then on the 4th day, the swelling in my ankle and my leg had finally gone down enough that they could attempt surgery. On the 4th day, when I went into the surgery, I was awake for about 5 seconds in the actual operating room before they put me to sleep. I had tubes in my arm, I had my leg open, and they had writing on it so they knew which one to operate on, which seemed kind of crazy because this one was obviously disfigured. And then I heard the surgeon talking, and he leaned over and he kind of pulled his mask down. And he was like, "Sweetheart, we're going to do the best we can, but you did a number on your ankle." I went to sleep. I awoke, and the doctor spent about 10 minutes talking to my parents, and then he finally looked at me. And he spent about 10 seconds explaining to me that, hey, your ankle is destroyed. You pretty much did a number. I put in a plate, 3 screws, 2 pins, but you're not going to have full mobility. You're not going to play sports. You're not going to walk. I looked at him during his 10 seconds, and I pretty much said, watch me. I was going to do it again. I was going to achieve my dreams, and I was going to walk, I was going to play sports, and I was going to do what I wanted to do, no matter this injury, and no matter the odds. 30 seconds. I then went home after surgery, and I began working on physical therapy in order to achieve my dream of being a varsity cheerleader. But see, I wanted to be a varsity cheerleader as a sophomore. That's already a challenge because I'm young. But also, I was on crutches. Now, who's going to actually make varsity cheerleader on crutches besides the sympathy vote? I was going to prove that I could do it. For about 5 seconds, as I sat on my floor with my computer in front of me and my foot propped up, I saw the cheer, the chant, and the dance. For about those 5 seconds, doubt and anxiety consumed me. I didn't think I could do it. I was so afraid that I was going to fall or injure myself again that I just wasn't going to do it. But my mom, luckily, stepped in and she said, "You told the surgeon you could do this, so you better prove that you can." Because if I was willing to tell him and look him in the eye and say that, I better be true to my word. I continued on with physical therapy and eventually gained full mobility back in my ankle before I could put weight on it. So I already proved him wrong in that one aspect, because he said I wasn't going to have full mobility. Check, proved that him wrong. Next, I began working and modifying the cheer, chant, and dance. See, in the dance, there's this one part where you had to get on the ground, do a push-up, and come back up. Now, doing that on beat in 2 legs seems difficult for most. However, I had 1 leg and crutches, and I had to figure it out. Eventually, through 2 more weeks of physical therapy, I was able to modify it. And in the 10 seconds that I accomplished this push-up to standing position, it is the most proud I've ever been of myself. I had actually done something that I found impossible, and surgeons found impossible, and that my cheer coach found pretty much impossible. I overcame the odds that I was going to be able to even physically try out. So I mastered that. And then I moved on to meeting with the doctor 2 weeks before tryouts. I was hoping to get the clearing bill of health to where I could actually just put weight on my foot so I could kind of like balance myself like this, but I couldn't do that. I didn't even get cleared to walk, until 5 months after surgery. But I had cheer tryouts in a month. So eventually, the day of tryouts rolled around. I had to do 2 parts, one in front of the judges, one in front of the student body. And first was the student body. As I crouched back onto the floor, it took me about 10 seconds to get to where I needed to be. And it was the floor where I'd broken my ankle previously. I crouched out onto the floor, and the student body erupted into a chant. This guy named Marcus stood up and began cheering for me. They were supporting me. They believed in me. And that allowed for me to be spurred into a flawless routine in front of the student body and in front of the judges. I then went home, waiting on the results. Around 8 o'clock, I got a phone call saying, hey, the results are posted, come back. So I lived across the street, and so I trudged across the street. I crouched down the hallway, and I crouched up to the office window. And on the office window was a paper, and right in the middle of it was my name. I had made varsity cheerleading on one leg. Those 5 seconds, which conclude my minute of conquering the impossible and achieving my dream, could never be sweeter. 60 seconds. In an unconventional minute, I had severely injured myself, been proposed a physical impossibility. I even was challenged by a surgeon, I felt like anyways, and challenged by myself. But I went on and I mastered skill after skill. I mastered full mobility. And I achieved my dream. I overcame all the odds that were stacked against me and the impossibilities. And to this day, I refuse to believe that the odds are ever too high. For after months of physical therapy and finally getting to walk, I went on to achieve 2 state tennis titles, 4 team tennis titles, and play in the regional finals, starting varsity for 3 years. So I proved this surgeon wrong in the aspect that I was going to do it eventually, but I proved him wrong in the fact that I was going to do it on one leg. After all this, I refuse to believe the odds are ever too high to go against, that the impossibility is ever too large to be challenged, and I believe that odds are irrelevant.